Welcome to Kral Space. This is Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live from my closet. I went hi, and I realize every week I yell that hi like that, and when I try to re-listen to the episode, it always scares me and my two cats. So then I thought, well, maybe that scares everyone else who listens to the podcast. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's not as frightening to all of you as it is me. Oh my gosh. Hi guys. I pooped before I came in here, so hopefully we won't have to stop again. I've had a lot of anxiety the last couple of days. Just a lot of I don't know, man. I feel like I've gotten into this weird groove. I wonder if anybody else feels this way. Like this weird groove at the stay-at-home order and how everything's locked down, and we just passed over. We're now a little over 100,000 deaths in the U.S. and it just all seems like so much just all kinds of different information, right? Like a couple weeks ago, I got a notification that said, in June, we're going to have 3,000 deaths a day in the U.S. And then the next notification was but now we can have curbside pickup. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So I feel like, I don't know, truthfully, I feel like I've shared in here we're in my closet, that I had a pretty unstable childhood. And so I think it's just that reminiscence of just never having to walk on eggshells because all the adults in my life, the adults who were in charge of me, they'd shift at any moment. You know what I mean? They would either be really awesome or really angry or dangerous or all that stuff. So I think I just wonder if anybody else is having this weird, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but then I also feel like I've gotten into this weird groove where I'm, finally kind of used to this. I don't know, and now I'm scared to go out into the world. I went to my best friend's son turned 3 the other day, and we did a social distancing little party. Not a party, but where it was all of us had masks and wished him happy birthday, and there was cake and stuff, but it was 5 of us, and we all stayed far away. It was very responsible, and the country's reopening, and I guess there's a time where we got to start thinking about getting back out there. It's so fucking scary though. I'm so scared. And then I also I promise I won't talk about the lockdown and all that stuff this whole time. Maybe it's good to talk about it because it is sort of the thing that we're all dealing with collectively, which is kind of cool that for the first time ever, all of us have one thing in common. You know what I mean? Because Lord knows there is a lot of awful bullshit going on right now, and this is not a political podcast, so I don't want to get into it, but just done a lot of crying in the last couple of days. I don't know, but I feel like I've accomplished quite a bit personally in the 2 months that we've been 2.5 months now, I think, that we've been on lockdown. I do feel like some days, I don't know if anybody else has this, it's some days I wake up and I have this big to-do list, but it's just kind of if I don't do it, I have infinity time, infinity time, that's not a word, but I have all of the time in the world. I can do it tomorrow because guess what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, and so a lot of stuff has just been put off. I am happy that I've been doing this pretty consistently, actually very consistently since I started it, so I'm proud about that. And as I said, I've been doing a lot of crying the last few days. I don't know, I feel like you gotta feel your feelings, man. And this is such a weird, scary time that sometimes you just cry, because a lot of people are dead and a lot of people are being fuckheads, people who aren't wearing masks. That's so crazy to me. I think I talked about this last week too, so forgive me. I promise we'll get through this. But I don't, if you're not wearing a mask, no one is looking at you and going, hey, look at Dan. Dan's a free thinker. He's not letting the government tell him what to do. People are you're a goddamn asshole. Wear a mask. If you told me that there was a slight, 0.0000001% chance that I might save a life, might save a life if I wore a mask, I'd wear the fucking mask. Just wear the mask. What? No one is trying to take over your rights. a lot of your rights are already gone anyway, man. There's a lot of stuff that they've chipped away, but you gotta wear pants, wear your goddamn mask. I don't know. I will probably say this for it's so stupid to me. You don't look, no one is, you don't look the way you think you look. You look like a fucking idiot, and you look like a heartless fucking idiot. That rant is over. Hey, I also want to thank a lot of people after listening to last week's episode. I got a lot of good feedback. I got a lot of thank you, or not thank yous. I got a lot of thank yous. No, I want to say thank you. I got a lot of reach out asking if I was okay. I did cry a little in the last episode. A few days prior, I found out that this dude I was getting to know, who ghosted me, had like a full-blown girlfriend while he was getting to know me. And yeah, I'm fine. I'm glad I got to talk about it, and I'm glad I got to be vulnerable. I hope I help someone out there, because it's I don't know, heartbreak sucks, and it's not linear. Like, I've been most of the, it's been about a week and a half, and for the most part, like, luckily I don't want anything to do with this human being ever again. Like my self-esteem has grown an insane amount. I would say even a year ago, I would still be like, well, maybe, but now I'm like, no, we're good here. There is plenty of other awesome men out there, actual awesome men out there, that the guy, when I meet him, he'll be lucky to have me. I'm hilarious, and I'm learning how to cook. Just kidding. I don't know. But that's like, so it's not linear. Like, I'm happy to say that there's no part of me that like wants to like get him back or figure out what happened. You know what I mean? Like, when you break up with someone, I know this wasn't a breakup, but like when you in something with someone or you get ghosted, like you're just like, if I could just figure out what happened. That never helps. I have figured out what has happened many a times in real breakups. And I mean, I'm not going to say this isn't a real breakup. To me, it felt like a real breakup, and I'm not going to not validate my feelings anymore. But like, figuring it out never is better. I mean, maybe for a second you're like, oh, that's what happened. But then you still have to deal with the like actual grief and pain. But it's not linear. Like most days actually, I've been pretty fine. I'm happy that I found out who this person was before I really let him in my life and my vagina. And I'm happy but like, sometimes it's still a loss. But I want to thank people a lot of you reached out and just said a lot of really nice things. So thank you so much. Oh man, guys. So speaking of self-esteem, so this thing happened. Okay, so it's so interesting. I'm trying to figure out how to tell this story. It dates back to Super Bowl 50. I'm going to tell the Super Bowl 50 story. Into this story, the story's much cooler than what made me think of this. Basically, the dude who brought me to the Super Bowl turned out to not be a very good dude at all. We'll tell that story. And after I tried to fix it, I guess, when this all happened, and like now I'm like, no, we're good here. But like I said, like I've struggled with self-esteem and self-worth and allowing people into my life that do not deserve to be in it. But years ago I was trying to like fix it with this guy. We didn't date, by the way. He was just a really good friend, and he basically told me to go fuck myself. Actually, he did tell me to go fuck myself. Like, he called me a fucking bitch and told me to go fuck myself. And then deleted me off Facebook, everything. And then like last week he requested me on Facebook. He requested my friendship. And the gift is like, my old self-esteem would have like entertained it, probably would have like accepted the friendship to see if he messaged me and like maybe we could still be friends. Maybe he changed, making all this excuses for this like inexcusable fucking behavior. But instead I just saw it and said, that's funny, and moved on. Wow, right? I know if you don't struggle with self-esteem issues, you're probably like, yeah, you shouldn't let somebody who said that to you in your life. But, some of us struggle with self-esteem issues, myself definitely. And that's a huge, one thing I've learned in this lockdown is that I don't want anyone in my life at all that doesn't 1,000% think I'm pure magic. And I just think, I wish that for everyone. Because, like, I have allowed so many people in my life, I have a tendency to confuse love and pity. Like, I because of how I was raised, I tend to love people I can pity. And so I let a lot of, not bad people into my life, but just people that are, not on the level I want to be on. And that's not putting anyone down. I hope that doesn't offend. But, like, I mean, I guess I don't really give a fuck. But, like, yeah, someone who's not in my level, in my league. And I work really hard to better myself spiritually, like mentally, physically, all that stuff. Like, as a person, I work really hard, and it's fucking hard work. Like, I had a rough childhood, dude, so I'm working through that trauma. So I don't take it out on other people, or, when someone's a dick and people are like, oh, she had a bad childhood. I fucking hate that so much. I used to be friends with this girl years and years ago, and she'd have like a severe, I mean, she was severely mentally ill, and she did have a really bad childhood, but people would just excuse it by being like, well, she had a really bad childhood. And it's like, I had a bad childhood. Like, yeah, like that's not a fucking excuse. Like, they say, like, what happened to you as a kid is not your fault. How you deal with it as an adult is. That is your responsibility. And so, like, I just in this lockdown have realized, like, cut out a lot of people. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I'm going to walk my ass out the door. But so this guy, I want to tell the Super Bowl story because, like, I'm going to take a sip of water. Did you hear the bloop? We're working on this for Dash Comedy, but it's so funny because the versions are going to be so different because Dash Comedy is going to be like a live radio show. So I have to stay a little bit more focused, and I'm going to have a guest, and we're going to have segments, and there's going to be commercial breaks and all that stuff. So I have to be like way more focused. And I'm like, oh, I'm really glad I'm going to still be doing the podcast in my closet too, because I'm going to need that outlet for an hour to just like not have any structure whatsoever. So that guy was such a dick. And, but like, I got to go to the Super Bowl. Like, okay, real quick, I want to tell another story before I go to the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl is going to be like the main event today. What I kind of do to prepare for this, it isn't just me sitting in the closet, just whatever comes to my mind. Throughout the week, when I'm like, oh, I should talk about that, I'll write it down, because otherwise my brain is like a bag full of bees, so I won't be able to. Did someone else tell me that? I feel like Ray, who I went to college with, hi, Ray. I think he said my brain was like a bag of bees. It's fair. So I'll just completely forget. But so I wrote all that down. But I want to say the girl that was like, she had a bad childhood, the one that always had meltdowns and people excused her behavior because of her shitty childhood. Her dad was an alcoholic. Like, come on. I mean, yeah, I had an alcoholic dad too. So that was rough as fuck. But so does most of America. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't give you an excuse. So this wild story. So she and I were like best friends when we were like 22. And I went out with this guy named John. And I lived in Westwood next to UCLA. And he was like a Sigma Pi or some shit. I don't know. He was in a fraternity. And he and I went on a date. And he was cute. He was super, super curly. Like, I'm pretty positive if we walked down an alleyway and something attacked us, he would jump in my arms. I'm pretty tough though, so I guess no offense, John. But so he and I went on a couple of dates, and they were like very sweet dates. Like, her name was April, this chick. And she met him, I think, she met him, I think on our first date, we went on like a double date or some shit. I can't remember, but she met him, and then he invited me to his fraternity. The fraternities had like date nights or like parties or something. I don't remember, but he invited me to that. And then he said I could bring my friend April. And he hadn't kissed me yet, right? Like, he hadn't, like, it was like all very, like, now looking back, we were 22 and he was probably just shy, but like, he hadn't kissed me yet. And that was confusing, especially at that time. Like, the dudes I would pick would be like trying to fuck me the first night. And this guy just wanted to buy me a rose and, take me out, which is very sweet. Wherever you are, John, I think we're Facebook friends. I'm not sure. But truthfully, I don't think I could pick this dude out of a lineup. I think I have a picture of the two of us somewhere. I don't know what is happening right now. So, guys, I think I'm starting to lose it. So, he invites us to this fraternity party, and we're drunk and we're having fun. It's like this massive party. Like, the UCLA fucking frat houses were just like crazy mansions. Like, the frat houses I went to college with were like, like pretty big, decent sized houses. Like, the frat houses in fucking UCLA are mansions. Like, they're like estates, dude. So this party is popping. I don't know why I said that, but the party is going pretty well. It's going pretty well. Whatever. Okay. So I'm dancing and I'm talking to April, and I'm like, I just don't understand why he won't kiss me. And now I finally am starting to learn the lesson of just let it flow. Like, I always want to force something, you know what I mean? Like, I got to force the solution. I want to why aren't you every boyfriend I've ever had, we are slowly dating, and then I'm like, why aren't you just my boyfriend? Like, we're not sleeping with other people. Like, I don't get it. And then they're like, I don't know. I'm finally learning. Just go with the flow, bro. I didn't mean to rhyme there or call myself bro. So I was like, he won't kiss me. And April drunkenly was like, I'll take care of it. And I was like, thanks, girl. And then she disappears with John for a while, right? And I don't think much of it. I should have, because April and I's friendship ended up ending because she tried to fuck my boyfriend like a year later. Not John, different dude. But that's when our friendship ended. That's when I was like, oh, that girl and I, she's not a good person. But so she disappeared with John for a while. And then John comes back and he's like, can we talk? And I was like, sure. And I thought, oh, this is the moment. She did it. He's going to kiss me. So he takes me up to his room, which is like a frat house room, which has like, 2 bunk beds in it. So we go sit on his top bunk, and Jesus Christ. And he's like, I really like you. But I feel like before we get serious or we start really dating, I just need to know about you. Like, I need to know what happened to you. And I was like, what happened to me? What do you mean? And he's like, it's okay. You can tell me. And I was like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. By the way, at this point in time, I was 22 and had barely scratched the surface of my childhood. So that wasn't on the table. No one knew. Now I'm super open about it. If you want to ask me what happened to me as a kid, I'll tell you all day long. But at the time, I didn't even know myself. Like, I'd blocked out most of the trauma. So this wasn't what he was talking about. He's like, I just feel like we need to get it all out on the table before we can really get to know each other. And I was like, John, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was like, Kim, were you raped? And I was like, whoa, what? No. And he goes, it's okay. You can tell me. And I was like, dude, I wasn't raped. And he's like, okay, well, if you can't be honest with me. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was like, okay, I guess let's just go back to the party, which is super weird. And now if that happened, I would probably just be like, what the fuck? But at the time I was young and I didn't know I don't even know if now I would know what the fuck to do. So we just went back to the party and danced the night away. And then I slept over in that bunk bed room with 3 other frat boys. Jesus fuck. And nothing happened. He didn't kiss me. We just kind of cuddled. And then he drove me home the next day. And then I didn't see him again for like 9 years. Like, he ghosted, dude. Ghosted. April, a year later, that broad tried to bang my boyfriend. And they like kissed or something. And then he stopped it. And I don't know. I broke up with that boyfriend too. No, I think that boyfriend broke up with me. I don't remember. He wrote a lot of poems though. If I ever make a Patreon, I'll put the poems on there. They're pretty wild, dude. Maybe not. Maybe that's kind of mean. Maybe I don't want to I didn't write the poems. I still have them though. But like, so April and I stopped being friends because, she was a dirtbag. And then 9 years-ish later, I would say 9 years, I run into John at a bar in Santa Monica called Q's. That used to be like my stomping ground when I was like 27. Maybe it wasn't 9 years later, probably like 5 years later. Time isn't real, guys. And I run into John and we have this like talk where we're like, oh, hey, like, oh, hello, like catch up. And then we're like getting along and, we're having a good time. We're laughing. Everything's cool. Everything's great. I'm so sweaty, you guys. It's like, it's this summertime in this closet. I'm going to have to record this at like 5 a.m. Oh, I don't know if I can. I share a wall with my neighbor. Whatever. We'll jump off that bridge when we get to it. So I feel like I'm going to burp. So we're catching up. Yep, it happened. We're catching up. And then I was like, I'm like, hey man, I have a question. And no hard feelings. Like, honestly, it's been years, just like water under the bridge for sure. I'm just curious, like, what the fuck happened? Like, you and I seemed like we really liked each other and then you just like vanished. And like right now we seem to like really hit it off. Like, I don't understand. Like, you just like, and at the time ghosting wasn't like a term that was coined, but I was just like, you just like vanished. I don't understand. And he goes, I need you to know that I've felt guilty about that for years. And I'm so sorry. I would never, ever do that to you now. And I was like, well, what happened? And he's like, you have to understand, I was about to graduate college. I was going to go to Pepperdine Law School. Yeah, lawyer. Probably should have bagged him, right? No, most of the lawyers we heard about the lawyer last week. Woo! He was like, I was going to go to law school at Pepperdine. And like, I was just starting out, and I just couldn't see myself with a girl with that kind of baggage. And I'm sorry that happened to you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, your friend told me. I'm like, oh God, that girl's not even my friend anymore. What did she tell you? That girl was crazy. I'm like, what did she tell you? He's like, she told me what happened to you. I'm like, what happened to you? Or like, I was like, what did she say happened to me? And he looks at me and he goes, she told me how you were, ready for it, how you were brutally gang raped. Brutally gang raped. Not just regular raped, not gang raped, brutally gang raped. And I just like, sorry, trigger warning. But I guess you have to say trigger warning before you say all that shit. But I mean, I feel like if you're listening to the podcast, you know, the whole thing is probably trigger warning. But I had no other. Oh God, do you hear that? I hate that neighbor so much. I hate him. And when he's not revving his engine or playing techno, he's fucking boxing outside. And you hear the boxing thing, and then you hear him go, I don't know. I kind of want to seduce him and then steal the boxing setup. That's crossed my mind a lot. I feel like that's the only way I could get into that garage. If I, wow, that took a turn. I don't even know if you heard that revving noise. So, you're going to hear, I'm moving a little bit. Brutally gang raped. So I was like, I started laughing because I didn't know what else. And he goes, I'm so sorry. And I was like, dude, that girl lied to you. I was like, I wasn't even a little raped. Not even kind of. Never happened. I was like, that girl was out to like get me. I don't know why. I had a period of my life, and I'm just now getting out of it, where I would collect crazy women. I have a very mentally ill mother, and I think I would collect these crazy women so I could fix that relationship through them. And now in lots of therapy, I'm learning that you cannot do that. I don't know if you've probably already know that, but I had to have friends like April who told a dude I was dating that I was brutally gang raped. I don't even know what the hell she gained from that. I think she was just crazy. And then everyone would always excuse that behavior. It's like, she had a bad childhood. That broad has like 5 kids now, I hear. But yeah, I laughed, and then like, you know, we hung out for the rest of the night, and every half hour or so I'd be like, April, you thought I was like, I was just like, I can't believe you didn't just ask me. He's like, well, I tried, I was young. And then I don't think I ever talked to that guy again. We might have matched on Tinder, like ran in, LA is so small, but I still pine over that guy. Just kidding. I'm sure that was probably a bullet dodged, but wild, right? So this all was brought on because I was talking about the guy who brought me to the Super Bowl. Like, such a weird weekend, because it was quite possibly one of the best weekends of my entire life. So a little bit of a backstory. As you all know, I am a diehard Denver Bronco fan. If you've listened so far, I think I mentioned the Broncos every single episode. Huge Bronco fan. And so my father, we're going to take this is one of my favorite stories. I did a one-woman show about this, actually. So I'm going to tell this. My dad passed away in 2015, and the Broncos won the Super Bowl in 2016. And my dad was sick, as in like he had like days left to live. Like, we were like prepared, like it was like, oh, you have 12 days left to live. He had kidney failure, and he was on dialysis, and he chose to get off the dialysis, and the doctor was basically like, okay, well, your kidneys will fail, so you will die. So we're sitting there and we're talking, and it's interesting talking to somebody who's at the end of their life, and they know they're at the end of their life. Just, you know, some profound shit comes out of their mouth. And I mean, this part, what he goes, the weirdest part about dying is that I won't get to see what happens. Like, football season's about to start. I don't know what's going to happen. He's like, Star Wars is going to come out with a brand new movie. That was Force Awakens. He's like, I'm not going to be able to see that. And he was just like, that's the weirdest part about dying. And one of my dad and I's biggest arguments growing up is that he liked to see, oh my God, now a fucking car alarm's going off. Why is Hollywood so loud? Well, it's Hollywood. We're in a big city. I should stop bitching. Maybe you can't even hear it. It's hard to concentrate. But like, one of our biggest arguments was, he was like, I would like, win or lose, I want to see a really good football game. Win or lose, really good football game. And I was like, not me. I want to see him blow him out of the fucking water every single time. I want to blow out every single time. Like, I want to destroy people. So we're sitting there after he talks about football, and I feel like I'm having to yell, turn off your alarm. I don't understand what's the point of those alarms? You know what I mean? Like, it's like when they go off, if someone is actually stealing from your car, the person who would come see, I mean, I guess it does draw some attention, but most of us just get irritated and ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anybody who's like, I'm going to go out and see if I can stop a burglary in process. Because most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's just someone walking by or a fucking bag touching your car. It's just very irritating. I feel like there's a better way to do that. And now it's just getting louder and louder and louder. So we're sitting. Do you hear that? It's that neighbor. You guys, if my neighbor ends up dead, there is a whole lot of evidence that'll prove that I murdered him. But we've already talked about it. I'm pretty positive I could get away with murder. How to get away with murder. Does anybody else do that when that how to get away with murder just ended? I can't tell this heartfelt story until that alarm goes off. So we're just going to pause the heartfelt story. Oh my God, turn off your fucking alarm. You're wasting my podcast time. And I promised I wouldn't pause. Like, we're just going to do it so that How to Get Away with Murder ended. And I'm really sad because for 5 years, every Thursday night before the show started, I would go, How to Get Away with Murder. And that was like my favorite thing. The show is all right, but I think I only watched it so I could go, How to Get Away with Murder. Oh my God, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. What if I just yelled out the window? I yell out my window quite a bit. Oh, it stopped. Do you hear that? Silence. Sometimes okay. So we're sitting there, and after he says that he's not going to know what's going to happen with the Broncos season, and that's just weird. And I get that. That's so weird. If you knew, like, oh, I won't be around next Wednesday, but you're like, hey, I know this crazy thing's going to happen on Friday, and you're like, I'm not going to be able to see that. I was just like, you know what, Dad, this year, I'm going to dedicate every game to you. Like, not that I'm a player on the field. Like, we're at the Broncos, but I was like, every time I watch football, I'm going to, like, it's going to be, I'm going to pretend you're there with me. And maybe you will be. We don't know what happens after this whole life thing, but I'm going to watch every game with you in mind, the whole game. And not only was every single game that year a fucking nail biter, a really good game, he switched me over. Like, I definitely, like, now really want to see a good game. Yeah, blowout's always a good time, especially when it's against, like, the Raiders or the Chiefs. Chargers, no one takes seriously, so who cares? But like, I love a really good game. And not only was every game that year a fucking nail biter, we went to the Super Bowl, and I got to go, and we won. And the weekend was so cool. Like, I went up there, like, so this guy, he worked for the NFL Network, and he was one of my dearest friends, actually. Like, I was sad for a little while, but then, as I said, the self-esteem stuff, I looked at it and was like, I don't want to do like that in my life at all. Because some of his shitty behavior in the weekend was sort of funny, because it was so fucking ludicrous that it was like, how is this real life? But he worked for the NFL Network, and when he worked at the Super Bowl, he was allowed to take 2 guests. So he took me. He was like, you're like a sister to me, and you're the biggest Bronco fan I know, so I'm going to bring you. And I remember at the time, like, I had just gotten back from, like, going back and forth from Denver. I had very little money because I was not working a lot, because, when your parent dies, you don't work a ton. You got to travel a lot more than you normally would and not work. So I was, like, super freaked out about money, but it was just like, I feel like that's one of those times that you put it on a credit card. You know what I mean? You're going to go to Super Bowl 50 to watch your Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl, and you get to go, put it on a credit card. And no regrets. And then he invited this other girl that I had known. I'm not going to say names because I am going to say some, I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I might out him. But I'm not going to say names. But so he took this other girl, and I knew her through him and through the group of people that I'd become friends with through him, right? I was pretty good friends with this group of people that I met through Big Wangs. And so she and I drove up to San Francisco, and on the way, she told me about this guy that brought us. We'll call him Barry. No, I'm not going to be able to remember that. I tried to make it as off the wall as I possibly could to see if I could remember it, whatever. So she was telling me about she's like, oh, well, he he had told me that they were dating and they were like seeing each other. And she was like, we're not seeing each other. I have told him multiple times that we are just friends. And each time he goes, I know. And then he'll show up to my job the next day with like a bouquet of flowers. And like, it's been argued, well, why did she go if she wasn't interested? It's like, well, why did I go if I wasn't interested in fucking him? Like, I don't understand that idiotic thing. If someone gives you something, then you owe them sex. Fuck off with that. Fuck right off with that. That just was an argument that a lot, like, she was very clear. And when he and that's a once in a lifetime opportunity to go to this Super Bowl and be able to go to, we went to the owner's fucking dinner. We met Roger Goodell. Get the fuck out of here. So like, and she told me, she was like, yeah, when he invited me, I was very clear. And she's a pretty no nonsense chick from Philly. Like, she's like direct and, she doesn't bullshit. And she's like, I told him, I was like, I would love to go to the Super Bowl and I'm honored that you invited me. But, like, that doesn't change anything between us. Like, we're still just friends. I don't want to be anything other than just friends. And he said, absolutely. I only want you to go because I want you to have a good time. And we are friends. And I think you and Kim will have fun together. He is a liar. So once we got there, so I was just like, yeah, I won't leave I got your back, whatever. We get up there and we're all staying in one hotel room that the NFL put him up on. And we walk in and he had put 2 things on each bed, one for me and one for her. But he put hers on his bed. And it was just like, oh, man. So she's like, what do I do? And I was like, just move to my bed. And then we were going to take a nap because we both work in the industry. We both bartenders. So we went to bed at like 4 a.m. and got up at like 8 a.m. and drove 7 hours. So we decided to take a nap. And that, I'm not going to focus on the shitty stuff. I will say that after the Broncos won the Super Bowl, best moment ever. After the Broncos won the Super Bowl, he goes, so I got a lot of messages and I got a lot of like, I mean, my Broncos won the Super Bowl. I was there and my dad, that was one of the things that we bonded over, had died in like 6 months prior. Like, I got so many loving messages. It was awesome. And so we get back to the hotel room and he's so mad at us. He's been mad at us all weekend, by the way, because he's working. And so we were like, well, we were trying to be gracious. Like, we're like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, well, I'm working. We're like, all right, well, we're going to go see San Francisco. And then we'd come back from like a day of fun and he'd be pissed that we had fun. This guy is out of his goddamn mind. And so, like, I remember one morning he had to get up earlier than us because he had to go work the events. And it's like 6 a.m. and all of a sudden all the lights turn on. The TV is at like highest volume and he's just like the angry spouse when they're trying to wake you up, but like passive aggressively. And we both sit up and we're like, what the fuck? And he's like, I'm getting ready. I'm like, you guys can sit up with me and get ready with me if you want. You guys have this fucking free ride. He was out of his mind, dude. And both of us were like this girl was like, I want you to go to the Super Bowl, so we will put up with this. And it was like, yeah, because she and I are like no nonsense broads. Like, any other scenario, we tell this guy to go fuck himself, but then we wouldn't go to the Super Bowl. That sounds so terrible, but like, I got to go to the Super Bowl. Fight me. So, oh no, ow. That didn't even hurt. You know when something like a big noise happens, you're programmed. But so like we get done with the Super Bowl and we're in the hotel room and he's like, I'm glad you didn't fucking thank me in your Facebook post. And I was like, I think I did. And he's like, well, sit down, you stupid bitches. We were called stupid bitches more times in that weekend than I think I've ever been called combined my whole life. And he's like, sit down, you stupid bitches, because you're going to get some cool shit. So she and I sit down. We both kind of look at each other because we've been dealing with this all weekend at this point. So now we kind of think it's funny because he's out of his fucking mind. Then he calls us stupid bitches again. Then he throws confetti at us that was on the field. I still have that confetti, by the way. But just picture that imagery, like, you stupid bitches, and then just confetti all over. But he's so fucking angry. It gets less funny because he definitely did... he tried some inappropriate sexual assault stuff with her. I'm trying to not, I don't want to get graphic because it's not my story, but like that right there is like the moment that it was like, oh, we are never, like when I found that out, when she told me about that, it was just like, oh, this guy is, and then we went back to LA and he flew and we drove. So when we were like getting packed up and ready, and I'm like deathly sick at this point, right? Like, I'm so sick that Monday after the Super Bowl. I don't know if you know this or not, but you probably shouldn't kiss, hug, and high five everyone at Levi Stadium after you win Super Bowl 50. I have no regrets, but it was literally one of the sickest I've ever been in my life. It was like 2 weeks of just like horrible sickness. And I think I literally ran around that stadium hugging and kissing everyone, crying. It was one of the best nights of my life. But as we're getting ready to, like, I'm so sick, and he's like, give me your fucking keys, because you're going to take my fucking bags back with you. Like, what a weird, like, why not just ask? Like, why so angry, bro? But, like, so we were driving back, and he's texting, like, I'm driving, and he's texting me like a fucking fiend, like a crazy person. And I was like, hey, girl, will you just text him and tell him I'm driving right now? Because he's like, are you mad at me too? I guess you fucking hate me too. And I was like, can you just tell him that I'm driving, and I will talk to him later? And, yeah, when he came back, he told all of our mutual friends that I had just cock-blocked him all weekend. And fuck him for cock-blocking me. You mean I stood up for a girl who did not want to have sex with you? Yes, that is what happened. You fucking idiot. Cock-blocking is so stupid. It's not a real thing, guys. It's just not a real thing. If a girl is stopping you from having sex with her friend, chances are she's just too drunk to do so or doesn't want to do that. This girl wasn't drunk, to be clear, but I'm just saying, like when we are assisting our friend and this cock blocking thing has been thrown around, there's been many a times in my life that I have told a friend of mine, no, you don't want to go home with that guy, and she wants to, so she's told me to go fuck myself. We do what we want to do. So calling us cock blockers is just something you say to make yourself feel better because you got fucking rejected. You can't just be like, oh, I'm a loser who got rejected. You have to be like her ugly friend or whatever you guys fucking say about us, the cock blocker. But these people, the people that I used to call like good friends, and some of them still are, some of them are two, I would say. I still consider dear friends, but the rest of them, I'm like, they all took his side. They all took this guy's side, and then this poor girl got outed from that group too, and it's just like, fuck you, and then this motherfucker thinks that we're gonna be friends on Facebook. Fuck yourself, bro. Thanks for the Super Bowl tickets. It was awesome. So back to the Super Bowl. That was like, so it's such a weird weekend because this girl and I bonded really well. Like, she is one of the coolest broads I've ever met in my life. Oh man. And I got to get rid of this loser dude. But we went to the owner's dinner, and one of the coolest things, we went to the owner's dinner, which is like, you know, oh man, Maroon 5 was performing, and it was so fucking funny because it was just like a bunch of old white dudes and then football players, right? But like, no one gave a fuck, and then, you know, a bunch of girls, but no one gave a fuck about Maroon 5. So at one point, Adam Levine is just like begging for everyone to pay attention to him. And if you're a comic, it's like he was like at a bad bar show that was like loud and no one wanted to listen, and he was just doing any, like, where you're like, I'll pull out my dick. You're not allowed to do that, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, I'll yell something obscene, penis, 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 something. I mean, he didn't yell penis, but he was like, he's like, I'm gonna yell this. He was like, I'm gonna go oi oi. I can't do that thing. I'm gonna do that. My boobs are sweating, guys. That's how hot it is in here. My tiny boobs are sweating. He's like, oi oi. Is that TMK? I got really excited. I got to use that. So it was like, that was a highlight. It was really funny. And then we met Roger Goodell, and we were like, Mr. Goodell, and there's all kinds of controversy around that guy. It's still really cool to say that you met the fucking, commissioner of the NFL. And he was like, call me Roger, ladies. And then we took a picture with him. He was really nice. I think he said the Broncos were going to win on Sunday. I'm not really sure. I think I probably coerced him to say that. But then I walked out to Doug Williams. Do you know who Doug Williams is? I believe Doug Williams is the first black man to win the Super Bowl. I think that's just the statistic. He blew out the Denver Broncos in the 80s when we played them in the Super Bowl. So I walked up to Doug Williams, and I'm in heels. So Doug is like Doug, like we're buddies, maybe like an inch taller than me, but I'm fucking a giant, right? So I walk over and I'm like, Doug Williams? And he's like, yes. I'm like, my name's Kim Kral. And I shake his hand and I go, Doug Williams, you blew out my Denver Broncos in the 80s. And he goes, well, Kim Kral, I wish I could apologize for that, but I'm not going to. And I was like, as you shouldn't, Doug Williams, as you shouldn't. And he goes, well, Kim Kral, if it's any consolation, I believe you're going to win the Super Bowl on Sunday. And I was like, it is. Thank you, Doug Williams. I was like, have a good night. And then we shook hands and I walked away. And what a cool fucking story, right? I would have gone through that weekend with that crazy dude anytime for that story. And then the next day we went, my boss from Big Wangs happened to be there too, because he mistakenly thought the Patriots were going to win that year. But he was there too, so we got to spend a lot of the weekend with him and his wife and it was so, I love him so much. I love him. Like, he's still one of my favorite humans. I haven't worked for him in a couple of years, but just one of my favorite humans. So we got to spend a lot of time with him. And then the day of the Super Bowl, oh man, that's like Christmas, man. That's already Christmas if you're not going to the Super Bowl. Like, it's already Christmas for me, like when my team's not even in it. I love the fucking Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, it's Christmas for me. And then when your team's in it, like waking up that morning is super exciting. But then when you're going to take a bus to the actual game, oh man, it took me so long to figure out what to wear. You know what I mean? Because you want to have like the perfect, if you're a superstitious person, you pick out the correct outfit, and I picked out the correct outfit. The funny thing is, I specifically did not drink that much during the Super Bowl, during the game, because I wanted to remember every single moment of it. Like, I wanted to be like clear and fucking present. And the funny thing is I don't remember a moment of that Super Bowl. Though I was just like so excited, and it was so fucking surreal. Like, it was bananas, right? And then like 30 seconds before the 2-minute warning, the girl that I was with, the awesome broad that I was with, she looks at me and she goes, "Congratulations. If all goes well in the next 30 seconds, you just won the Super Bowl." And I was like, girl, I'm a Denver Bronco fan. I don't think I'm going to believe that we won the Super Bowl until we're on the way back to LA tomorrow. And then we won the fucking Super Bowl. And then we went out that night, and yeah, Crazy Pants was still Crazy Pants. I think he left us and said, "Fuck you" a couple of times. What a crazy person. Oh, good riddance. And we met like the original like Bronco. I can't remember who they were. They were all in orange suits, and they were like the original Bronco crew, but they weren't old enough to be the original. I don't remember who they were, but it was like one of the best nights of my whole life. And I got to go to the fucking Super Bowl. What a cool... the Broncos, like, I have never seen a fall that hot, that far. Is that, like, we were, like, Super Bowl champions, and then we were, like, one of the worst in the league next year. But, man, what a fucking season, dude. Just such a cool season. I didn't think I was going to talk about, I didn't think I was going to talk about that Super Bowl that long. Hopefully that's interesting. I did want to say something before I get into the poop scoop. I've been getting into TikTok lately. I have a TikTok, but I haven't made any videos yet. But TikTok's super interesting. I've learned a couple of recipes, which are fun. And then I have 2 friends that are so fucking funny on it. And I can't stop. Like, I like live for their videos. But I think I'm going to make a TikTok video. Tell me if this will be fun. Or maybe I've already asked you this. I have my friend let me borrow an authentic Catwoman, like what Michelle Pfeiffer wore, catsuit. And then I bought an app that can make Henry talk. And I think I'm going to make a TikTok video where he's like, "Hi, Barbie." And I'm like, "Hi, Ken. You want to go for a ride?" "Sure, Ken." But that was the Ken voice. You know what I mean? I think that might be fun. But so I've been looking at TikTok. And TikTok. Oh my God, I'm so old. You guys, when is the moment where you get old and like when is the thing that you don't jump on board? You know what I mean? Like, when is the moment where you're like, "Oh, I'm too old for whatever the new technology is coming out"? I refuse. There is a girl on there. She's called like the Giraffe Girl or some shit. She is 6'10". I'm going to say that again. 6'10". 6'10". That just seems, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? You play basketball, I guess? If you're 6'10", you're going to be a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way you're not a billionaire at some point. If you're not a billionaire, you wasted your 6'10" body. Yeah. Because you could play basketball. Or, open up a carnival or something. I don't know. But I've watched this girl's videos because I'm like, this has to be fake. I'm not very good at research. If I decide to research something, obviously I'm a capable adult. But by not very good at it is I'll think of something. Like, I'll be like, I don't really know what that is. I should look that up. And then it's in the bag of bees that is my brain forever. Like, it's like sometimes it'll pop up and I'm like, I really ought to look up what that word means. And then I think that's why I don't really know how to spell the word calendar. Like, I know I can, like, figure it out, but it always takes me a little bit of time, but I never, like, look it up. I know calendar. We all have words we can't spell. Exercise is a hard one for me, too. Necessary, I think I finally have nailed, but exercise, I don't know. That I struggle with that one. Oh, man, I shouldn't have told you that. Well, whatever. We all have gaps of knowledge. So, you ready for the poop scoop? Oh, guys, you probably are wondering, like, when is this bitch going to run out of poop stories? I don't know. Probably a year and a half from now. Probably a year from half from now. A lot of embarrassing poop shit has happened to me. A lot of embarrassing poop shit has happened to me. Jesus Christ. Okay, so years ago, I worked at this bar in Highland Park called Johnny's. I don't know if anybody from Johnny's will listen to this. Probably not. I didn't leave that place on good terms. I stand by it, though. Maybe that's a story for another day. Think I got a little too heavy in this one with the Super Bowl story. Mostly the Super Bowl story was fun, but I know I had to tell the background of that dude who I will not be accepting his friendship. If you're listening to this, man, you can cancel it or just like, but like if he would have like sent me a message that was like, hey, I've been in therapy for the last year. I made amends to that girl. I want to make amends to you. But just sending it's just so weird when people do that. It's just like, how do you think this ended? Like Jimmy the Dragon sent me a message a little while ago. I talked about the breakup with him that he was just like, hey, you want to get a drink? I'm in town. I'm like, how do you think our relationship ended? Like, are you that fucking stupid? That, like, are you in that big of denial or that clueless? Like, do you think that I'll be like, sure, okay, I'll have a drink with you? Like, it's just so funny. It's like, how do you think this friendship ended, you fucking idiot? I don't have the energy to like, I just feel like if I decline it, that will just bring on a whole bunch. So you can just leave those. I leave every Facebook friendship request that I don't know. I just leave it instead of like, I don't know. Poop scoop. So I worked at this sports bar. Or not sports bar. I worked at this like divey bar in Highland Park called Johnny's Bar. And it had its up and down. It was fine. I just didn't, I'll tell that story another day. We're running out of time and I want to tell this poop story. So I come in there and it's like football Sunday, I think. Our Sundays were always like the crazy day, and I would work Sunday night and this broad Chelsea would work Sunday day, right? So I would come in and it was always like a fucking, just like a fucking party, right? And I had some poop. My tummy was like on the way there. It was about a 20-minute drive to Highland Park from where I live, and it was rumbling, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna shit. I want to shit my pants. Like, I gotta get in there. How many times in my life have I said that to myself? I'm gonna shit my pants. More than I am proud of, my friends. More than I am proud of. So I go in there, I say hi to Chelsea. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And she's like, okay. And I had hidden some matches in that bathroom. I've hidden matches in almost every bathroom I've ever pooped in, unless they already have matches. My best friend Katie and Dave have like a whole bunch of matches in their bathroom, so I haven't had to hide any in there. But like for the most part, if I've pooped in your bathroom, there's hidden matches somewhere. That's a weird thing to confess. Don't go looking, okay? But like, so there, I hid a bunch of matches in that Johnny's bathroom. And there was also a woman that worked there that was awesome. Her name was Rome, and she also hid matches. So we like had our matches together, because it's like sometimes you gotta shit, and it was like a one tiny whatever. So I go in there and I shit, but thankfully it's like one of those big quick ones, because it's like, ready to just like dump out, right? Like it just dumps out. It's so loud. It's like not like fart loud, but like liquid loud, like you're dumping like a pitcher of water. And sorry, gross. So I'm just like a dump, dude. And then I courtesy flush, and then I wipe, and then I stand up, and the toilet is now to the brim of just, it looks like fucking black sludge. Like it's like one could argue and ask what I'd been eating while that happened. I don't know, man. It was a couple years ago. And when I worked at Johnny's Bar, I drank quite a bit in those days, so I'm sure it was just a dehydration issue. Who knows? But yuck. But like, it was like to the brim, and I didn't know what to do, because the bar is fucking packed and it's the only bathroom. And like, I work there. It's not like I could just walk out. Like if it was like a random bar that I like shit in like that, I would just leave. I would be like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, right? Or like I explained a couple weeks ago, well, there was no pulling that out of the toilet. It was like to the brim, like black sludge, dude. It was like, I was scared. I was like, oh my God, that just came out of me. What am I gonna do? So I panicked, and then I did the only thing I could think to do. Lie. In those scenarios, you lie. You lie through your fucking teeth. Now, luckily, that poop hadn't taken too long, right? That poop was just as quick as like a regular pee. And luckily, I'm quick on my feet, right? So I'm able to walk out. There's a line. I shut the door and I go, hey, man, don't go in there. I just peed, and like it's like overflowing. So I got to get Rome. It'd be better if you just like go in the men's bathroom, because there was like this creepy men's bathroom. So I like sent all the girls over there, and then I wrote an out of order, and then I found Rome, and I was like, hey girl, oh man, if she listens to this, I guess this is the time you find out that I lied to you, because I don't think I ever told you. Because I was like, you can't admit that, because then you can't bartend for another 9 hours or some shit where everyone in the bar knows that you like destroyed the toilet. You just don't come back from that, all right? So I'm not proud of this. I don't know. Do a tone. I'll clean Rome's bathroom one day if she hears this, because this is so awful. So I go up to her. Oh my God. I go up to her and I was like, Rome, something really bad just happened. And she's like, girl, what? And I was like, I peed in there. And like, you don't really look before you sit down, because it's just like a toilet, right? You just like take down your pants and you pee. There must have been something already in there, because I peed and flushed, and now it's like overflowing with what looks like black sludge. Now, luckily, it wasn't me that plugged the toilet. Luckily, there was some bitch that was there that kept plugging the toilet all day. She'd go in and take these massive shits, and it was just my luck with timing. She'd take these massive shits, and then she'd go tell Rome she plugged the toilet again. And Rome was like, go home. Stop plugging our toilet, which I feel like that is much more like, go home. If I plugged one toilet and I was just out at the bar, I'd be like, I gotta get my ass home, right? Also, do you really want, like, talk about alcoholism? I gotta be at the bar that bad that it's okay. Like, do you really? I'd rather be in the comfort of my own home while I'm just like blowing out the toilet. It's not fun to be out somewhere. Anytime I'm blowing out my own toilet, I literally say thank you to the universe for letting me be home and having the time to get through this. You know what I mean? We've all been there where it's just like, oh my God, when is this gonna end? And you're in like some weird public place. Go home. So luckily, this bitch had done this like 6 times, so I was able to just blame that girl. So Rome's like, I don't know what to do. I think she like tried to fix it and then just made the bathroom out of order for the rest of the night until we could get an actual plumber in. And I think I bartended with this guy, Tim. He was my bar back, and we called it Kim and Tim Sundays. We drank a lot of tequila. And I think I told him, and he was like, oh yeah, I figured it was you. Like, it's like that story last week. It's like everyone's like, well, yeah, your lies never work. But I don't know. No one ever told the poop scoop, man. So once again, if you have a poop story, I've only gotten one via DM. If you have a poop story, I will keep you anonymous. Please DM me. I also, to be fair, my DMs are kind of a mess. I need to like take an hour and go through them. The problem is there's always like just some random dude that has liked every one of my stories that I don't know, that I'm like, that takes up like 40 messages. So you have like 300 messages of them, and 40 of them are from some guy named Rick. Or Rudy, I don't know his name, but so I got to go through them. But please, please, please send me your poop stories. I know you've all shit your pants. I know you have. Like I said, there are 3 types of people in the world: people who shit their pants, people who lie about it, and people who fucking your time is coming. Like, if you haven't pooped your pants, you will. It's only a matter of time. Unless you're just like super anal. Haha, see what I did there? Unless you're super anal about it and you're like, I mean, some of us, if we have to poop, we just try to go right away, I guess. You would think with my history of shitting my pants, I would be like extra careful. I still play pretty loose with it. I mean, I haven't pooped my pants in years. I think the last time was when I sharted outside the Improv. So please, please, please send me your poop stories. I want to hear them. Oh man, you guys, we are almost to the end, I think. I'm so sweaty. I'm having so much fun doing this. Thank you. And I obviously will keep doing it after the pandemic. I'm working on the live version now. I think I had one guest. There was sound issues, so I'm going to have, that was Chris Cope. It was a great interview. It was so much fun, but I think we got to wait until we're live back in the studio to have him, because the sound was kind of all over the place. And then tomorrow I'm going to have one of my favorite fucking people. Like, he is so, I'm going to interview, I guess, just chat with him, Michael Malone. If you haven't looked up Michael Malone, I think I posted about him a couple of days ago. Look him up. Do yourself a favor. He is so fucking talented and engaging. Like, he is super crazy funny. Absolutely. But he's also like takes you on a journey. Like, his stand-up comedy and his like, God, I like that. This dude's going to totally think I'm in love with him. Also, my last year birthday, I offered a threesome to him and his hot girlfriend. So that probably adds to the fact I was drunk. That probably adds to the, I mean, I probably still would. They're both smoke shows, but, they like, that probably adds to him being like, that girl's in love with me. And then I also just like, I want, this guy just deserves an army of fans. He's so fucking awesome. He just wrote a book. I'm reading it right now. It's so good. You can pre-order it on Amazon Kindle. I think it's bits and pieces. Just look up Michael Malone. He has but I'm interviewing him tomorrow, and I don't know, truthfully, I'm like scared. I'm like nervous just because I know what that interview could be, and I'm hoping that me as a host will be able to do it justice. He's just so good. So look him up. But yeah, so a lot of fun things coming for Kral Space. I will always do closet Kral Space. Haha. I love when that always makes me laugh when I do that. But soon I'm going to take it to Dash Comedy, which is super exciting. There will be a guest, segments, so much exciting stuff. So, whew, episode 10, you guys. 10 episodes. That's so exciting. I'm going to end this with, like I always do, with I'm One Lucky Broad. Let me think. I am one lucky broad. It's always almost the same thing, but it's just so wild. It's going to be a little different. I'm one lucky broad. As I said, I grew up in a lot of chaos, and chaotic dysfunctional families it's a cycle. It's, you repeat the cycle if you don't, work out your trauma. And I don't know. I think the severity of what happened to me got me to run away when I was old enough to move out of Colorado. And so I'm grateful for that, because I was able to get the help I needed and become a well-rounded person and get past the trauma that happened. And I'm still working on it, and it's daily, and it'll probably be daily for the rest of my life. But like, I'm one lucky broad that, like, that to me is a higher power or a universe or a higher self or a God, or, I interchange it all. I'm not a religious man, or I'm not a man either. But I'm not religious or a man. I don't know if you knew that, but like I am a spiritual person. I love when people make fun of that, but it's true. And I'm one lucky broad that by the grace of something, I was able to find my way to Los Angeles, where I was able to meet people that helped me along my journey and become the awesome human I get to be. And I'm doing this 30-day self-appreciation, self-love. I don't know if you saw it. Take a look on my Instagram, which, by the way, you can follow and check out at Kim Kral, KYMKRAL. Check that out. I've gotten a lot of cool DMs that's helped people through some stuff. So I'm trying to do 30 days of self-appreciation. I love our society. It's so funny. We push push self-worth and self-esteem, but as soon as someone likes themselves, we're like, whoa, check out Kim, totally full of herself. And it's just like, yeah, of course I am. Oh my God, I keep moving this thing. What a fun way to end it. But of course I am. That was my microphone if you didn't notice. I will one day have a better setup. Actually, I like the rawness of this. But like, of course I'm full of myself. Like, I don't understand. Like, I dated a guy years and years ago. Oh, he was so cool. And he was so hot. Oh, he was so sexy. I don't even know what happened to that. I think he just lived in San Diego, and that was just, the way that goes. But he said to me once, and I wrote it down and I put it next to my desk. He said, if you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect anyone else to? So it's true. Like, our society is so weird with that. Like, love yourself, man. Who cares if people are like, oh my God, look at her. She loves herself. Yeah, I fucking do. I'm my number one fan. So I'm one lucky broad that I found my way to some awesome people that have led me to work through a lot of really hard stuff. And I'm one lucky broad because I'm one awesome broad. All right, guys, this has been a fun up and down episode. It's always kind of that way, huh? A lot of yelling, a lot of cry. I didn't cry this time. That's good. I'll leave with this. I worked out with this like personal trainer years ago, and he was like he was like a reality star MMA personal trainer guy. And he just used to come into my bar. And so he offered to train me for like super duper cheap because he saw me as like a project. Because I'm like, I look like I'm in good shape, but I'm not. And I can't remember why we ended up not working out together. This guy was so funny. Like he was like, you get one cheat meal, not cheat day, cheat meal. And he'd be proud. I eat much better now than I did back then. But I remember one time I was at Big Wang's and there's these big windows that face Hollywood, right? So their windows are wide open. It's summertime. I'm sitting at the server station. I was a waitress at the time, and I was sitting at the server station, and I'm taking a bite of a buffalo chicken slider that has like blue cheese and dipped in blue cheese. And this fucking dude pops out of the window and he goes, "Is that your cheat me over the week?" And I was like, "Oh my God, why are you here?" And he's like, "I knew that you were eating worse than you said you were. But one of the last times we worked out, I was like really proud. I was like, hey," his name was Brandon. I was like, "Hey, Brandon, like, hey, look at me. Like, I did really well this time. I didn't puke or pass out or like almost pass out or cry." Because every time we'd work out, I'd either almost pass out, I'd cry, or I'd have to go throw up. And he's like, "Well, you did cry for a little bit on the treadmill, and you had to sit down about 20." And I was like, "All right, but I didn't sob on the treadmill." So that just reminded me of that, where I was like, I didn't cry at all during this episode. This has been so fun, you guys. Thank you so much for listening and for all the feedback. And if you get a second, I would love it if you could leave me a rate and a review. The reviews take like 2 minutes, and they help so much. It helps get like the podcast out there, helps a little more exposure. And I think I have like 2 weeks left until it's the 8-week mark. Jesus. And then and if you get enough reviews, Apple will put it in the new and noteworthy, I think. I don't know. I have like 20 reviews now, which is fucking phenomenal. I've been looking at other podcasts, like new ones or ones that have been around for a little bit, lesser known ones, and like 20 is fucking awesome. Thank you. So if you get a second and you haven't yet, I would love it. Just go give a rate review. 5 stars would be nice if you could, hopefully, if you're listening this long. You like it. So, and then follow me on everything. KYMKRAL. I'm telling a Zoom show tomorrow night. It'll be on my website. I'm going to update my website today. So I have a Zoom show next week, Zoom show tomorrow night. If you want to see me live, not live in my living room, that would be really fun. And new episode every Wednesday around noon. It's like noon 13 right now, but we'll get it out right now. And soon coming to Dash Comedy Radio too. So thank you guys so much, and stay safe. Wear a fucking mask. And I love you. Thank you. Bye.